everyone. Welcome to the first spring training report for the Cantina Corner. It's just me and Nick today. Adam's taking a day off because he's lazy. Um,
Yeah, pretty much.
no, but seriously, we're going to get into some baseball talk here. We're going to talk about the NL West specifically to start off the year. They got the champions, the LA Dodgers, so we figured who better to start off with than them. Plus, honestly, that division's been making the most moves this offseason, I think.
Yeah, it has. Yep.
Yeah. So, I guess we could start from the bottom and work our way up because it's a very top heavy division. And I don't think we're going to spend a lot of time on the Rockies, who traded their best player away this offseason.
That's about the only notable move that I know they did, and I was excited to see him and Paul Goldschmidt on the same team.
Yeah, that's exciting. The two guys from the NL West originally, now on the same
Yeah,
team in St. Louis. So, personally, I mean, me and Nick are both Indians fans. I think the Diamondbacks are probably my second favorite team, just because I love Arizona. I love going out there and traveling. But my third favorite team has always been the Cardinals, because growing up watching Albert Pujols, I mean, it's pretty
Oh yeah, definitely.
pretty easy to be a Cardinals fan then.
And they just crank out good ball players too. So it's
Yeah,
like if you're a baseball fan in general, to not be a fan of the Cardinals would be like it would be tough because they just crank out good ball players.
100%, 100%. Especially pitching. It seems like
Hmm.
no matter what, they can get rid of pitching and still crank it out. There's
Yeah,
not many teams in the league can do that. Luckily, the Indians seem to be one of those teams, and I think the Tampa Bay Rays deserve credit for doing that too.
definitely.
But yeah, I guess we can get into the Rockies. There's not a whole hell of a lot going on. I did print
No.
out their projected lineup for the year. Um, they got Ramel Tapia. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know he's a younger outfielder. I don't. The most I know about him, honestly, comes from using him in the show.
Yeah,
He was extremely fast,
fast.
but
Yeah,
I believe he's only like a second or third year. Like he's still a young guy.
yeah.
So
They got him as their leadoff guy, which makes sense. Speed at the top. That's
yeah,
classic baseball lineup right there. Trevor Story comes in at number two, probably their best player now that Nolan Arenado's gone.
yeah,
Charlie Blackman, definitely on the decline, but still a very solid ball player. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get traded this year
yeah.
to help
That would
out a
definitely could
contender.
be a piece they move.
Yeah. They got their young second baseman, Ryan McHome. McHone? I don't even know.
McMahon.
McMahon? McManning, dude. Um, I know he's a power hitter that strikes out a lot, but he's a young player too. He can come into his own. Um, what's this next one? I got a freaking line over it.
Brendan Rodgers. I know he's another
Yeah,
one that's
Brendan
young. He
Rodgers.
came up. I know. It had to be like 2 years ago? I know he's pretty solid coming up. I don't. Last year with the shortened season and everything, honestly, I mean, it was the one year that my baseball fandom kind of waned a little bit. So that's why I'm excited to get into this and get baseball going again. Especially if they're about to be playing a full season. It'll just be nice and exciting getting back into it.
Yeah, man, last year was tough. Especially not going to games, man. That kind of pulled you
Yeah,
out of it a little bit, because you had to watch it on TV. You're always,
it really did.
I mean, I know me and you, we're probably bigger baseball fans than most people. We try to watch every game. But, I mean, an average fan, if we were getting pulled out of it, I can only imagine, like, you're not scheduling your day around, oh, I got to watch the Indians, like you would football.
Right.
Football is,
Yeah.
you got a week thing, same time every day. Baseball, you got a game every day of the week, and it's at 6:10, 7:10, noon.
Yep.
So,
That's one thing I do love about baseball season. It's like, well, I know at least I have something to do every day. So it's like there's never a day where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be bored. I got nothing to do. Baseball will be on.
yeah.
And yeah, last year I really think too, yeah, not being able to go to the games, not going to the park at all during the summer was kind of it really wasn't
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it sucked. Um, then they got Garrett Hampson and their catcher Diaz. So, I mean, they're definitely rebuilding. Um, like I said,
Yeah.
I could see Charlie Blackman definitely getting traded to a contender, maybe to play left field or right field for a competitive team. He's still a pretty good defender. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Trevor Story maybe not move this year, but next year. I don't think he's going to be there long.
I would think so. Yeah. I don't know what how if they are into a full on rebuild mode, but if they are, that could be again. Yeah, I could see them maybe moving him in the next year or two because he's still a solid ball player.
Yeah.
And depending on contract, they could definitely get some pieces for him.
Yeah, and he's young. I mean, I'm not putting him in the elk of Francisco Lindor, which we just dealt with. But you saw what we got for Lindor. It was nowhere near what we could have been. So I would be interested to see if teams say, all right, we shouldn't wait. You know, if we're not going to be competitive and we have this asset, let's use it so that we can use the assets from this trade when we actually get competitive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we both agree they're probably going to finish last in this division. The pitching
probably.
staff ain't there.
Their rotation's never really been much either. No. Like, that's one thing I think. Even when they had a booming offense, that always held them back was pitching. Because especially lately in the league, it's pitching does dominate, and with their lack of starting rotation, like I think that's something that has held them back a lot lately.
For sure. I guess we'll move on to the Giants. I got their projected lineup with Tommy La Stella. I know a little bit about him. He came from the Angels. Solid ball player. Nothing special there. Just a guy.
Nothing too exciting. Just good. Solid.
You're not going to buy his jersey. Let's put it that way. Donovan Solano. Am I saying that right, you think?
Yeah. This is a newer dude, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a young kid, too. But they got that
Mike Yastrzemski.
The old man that found the fountain of youth last year. I know a lot of people here in Cleveland wanted the Indians to trade for him because he was on fire last year, honestly. I know he had some MVP considerations, which is insane. I never thought I'd say that about him.
Yeah.
Alex Dickerson, again, okay.
Solid player.
Yeah, solid ball player. This team, the Giants seem to be a team of pieces. They don't have a stud. They just got a lot of pieces. This is a team that could get picked apart by a competitor, too, looking for that one little piece, that solid-ass utility player.
So that's what I was just going to say is, they don't really – it doesn't seem like they got any plans for, like – or any pieces to really build around either. So it definitely could be a team that if they got, like – I mean, if Johnny Cueto maybe taps into some of that old-school Johnny Cueto or something, that could be something to move. You know, teams looking for that hot starting pitcher to help out in the playoff runs.
Yeah. Then I got here old San Francisco names that you just like are taken in a time whoop to see Buster Posey, Brandon Belt, and Brandon Crawford still on the team. Yeah. It's honestly incredible. I joked with you when we were doing this, saying, is Brandon Crawford ever going to retire? Same with Buster Posey, honestly. I mean, that guy's been catching for years, man. His knees are all terrible.
Well, they were, they did put him at first, though, a lot the last couple seasons because his bat was still pretty okay. It wasn't, as diminishing as, his defensive skills and just some catchers, I mean, especially him. I mean, they made the rule for him, too, and he got his leg obliterated at home plate. So he's definitely taken some damage back there, but I know they've switched him to first a lot, kind of lengthen out that career, which makes sense. When you got catchers with those kind of bats, you see it all the time.
Yeah, and truthfully, I mean, his bat hasn't really left him. I mean, I see him ending his career a Giant just because he is like, when I think of the Giants, I think of Buster Posey.
Yeah.
But he's got the type of bat like a Victor Martinez where if he was playing just as a DH, he could probably play for 5 more years, Just a solid average hitter who, honestly, had some pop last year again. Brandon Belt, he's kind of the same player every year. He has his spurts where it's like, oh, Brandon Belt is got it.
Crushing
and then he just falls off.
Yeah. He is very, prone to bad streaks. Yeah, where he is extremely hot and then extremely cold.
Yeah. And then some news came in last night. They signed Aaron Sanchez, nice little left-handed hand for their rotation. The rotation is really revolves around Cueto, but they have that Kevin Gossman who's from Baltimore.
He was solid last year.
Yeah, he's one who's always shown promise.
Yeah, I would imagine that'd probably be their ace of the staff.
Yeah.
Ace. Like
Yeah, I
obviously
agree.
he's not a true ace, but when you really do look at their staff, there's the only other one maybe that Aaron Sanchez, and that's if he wasn't even the best last year.
No.
So,
And
but I think he was coming off injury,
he had,
wasn't he?
yeah,
Not
he had,
the season before.
yeah, he had an injury issues. And I mean, he showed flashes too with the Blue Jays where he could be
Yeah.
a number one guy, and
Mhm.
it's just another. I mean, it seems to happen all the time with pitching. You can show flashes, get injured, and it's. I mean, look at Madison Bumgarner, who we're probably going to get into here next with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Ever since that, was it a dirt bike accident where he broke his arm?
Yeah. Dirt bike accident.
And he has not been the same pitcher ever since.
No.
That's fucking shame too, because he was a fucking monster.
Yeah, he was.
But yeah, he's on our next team here, the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Where you think Giants are we? You pretty much doing it in order. You think they're finishing, so you're putting Giants second last.
Yeah, I'm putting Giants second to last. I don't think they can compete. I think they
that's
could be
about
that
what
team that like starts off hot, because they seem to be that team every year who starts off where it's like, oh, could they make some moves, because they have that veteran leadership. They got everything you would want. I don't think they have the long term team.
No.
I don't see it. I don't see the pitching holding up. I don't see it. But they're better than the Rockies. I'll say that.
Yeah. I'd have to agree with that.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, again, when we talked about the Rockies, so they really have Trevor Story and Blackman to fear on offense, and their pitching ain't really much.
Yeah.
I would take the Giants pitching over theirs. Really.
Yeah. I honestly, even though there's no super stud like a Trevor Story in their lineup, I'd probably take their lineup overall over the Rockies. But I'll take the Diamondbacks pitching and their lineup over both teams.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I did admit, they're probably my second favorite team to watch. I do pay attention to Arizona a lot. A lot of it was because Goldie was one of my favorite players.
The dude was a monster.
Yeah. Diamondbacks are the reason I first signed up for the MLB Network. What do they call it? It's like
extra innings.
Extra innings. That's what they call it. Yeah. So that I could watch those games. Obviously, Robbie Ray. That was my boy coming out. And he
could have been great.
He had one really good season, and then went right back to walking people.
God, and speaking of pitchers that get hurt and then aren't the same, that Archie Bradley.
Yeah,
he was a monster, and then he was never the same after getting drilled in the face.
He hasn't been, but he kind of redefined himself in the bullpen.
He did. He did. When they put him into the bullpen, he did kind of transform his just his whole skills and everything. He was a lot better in the bullpen.
I do remember me and you specifically watched Bradley when he was a starter before the injury. Then he was pitching against Kershaw, and he was just out dueling Kershaw, and we were like, damn, this kid's gonna be good. And then he get hurt, and your season goes somewhere else.
Yeah, and especially that type of injury as a pitcher, getting drilled in the face with the ball. There's like the injury part. I feel like is the easier part to get over. The psychological impact of that, I feel like, is so much tougher to get over, especially as a pitcher, because when you first get back out there after that, it's got to be all you're thinking about is after you release the pitch, getting away or doing something like that's got to be so scary.
It has to be. It has to be intimidating. I mean, we play men's softball,
yeah, and
I can't pitch anymore. My doctor said I couldn't because I've taken so many liners off the shin that my legs are fucked, and it is scary. I mean, it's scary to get drilled by a softball and then get back up there and toss it out there.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine throwing 100 miles an hour and then it coming back 120. Which I've actually seen live. I was at an Indians game where Carrasco got drilled in the face.
Yeah, that's right.
Was it Adam Eaton? Was he on? It was versus the White Sox. I think it was Adam Eaton.
I don't remember exactly who it was, but
I'm pretty sure. I'm almost positive it was against the White Sox, and he took a liner right back, and he just dropped. And we were second row on the third base line, and I was just like, he just died right in front of us because he was just laying there, and I was like, we just watched him die. But kudos to that dude. That dude's had fucking cancer, fucking get drilled in the face, and he just comes back one of our favorite Indians of all time for sure. That dude
Yeah.
gives his all. Unfortunately, he got traded to the fucking Mets, which we'll get into
That's what-
in a later episode. But
Yeah.
that
It
was
made
a
that trade
stinger.
so much harder
Yes,
to
it did.
swallow.
But getting back to the Diamondbacks here, they got Cole Calhoun leading off. Looks like solid player.
He's not bad. I've never been a fan, but he's not a terrible player, really.
It's one of those guys you just plug in and you know what you're gonna get every year. He's not gonna surprise you. He's hasn't really disappointed very much. He's kind of a floor player.
Yeah.
Ketel Marte, I think, is a stud personally.
Solid. Yes.
They got Christian Walker, who has honestly replaced Goldie pretty well at first. He's got pop to him. Solid glove. He's not Goldie there, but definitely a solid replacement.
It's so tough to be Goldie there.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's always tough when you replace a Gold Glove and MVP candidate. David Peralta, the train.
He's solid.
He just does his thing every year, man.
Yeah.
He's a doubles machine.
I've always been a fan of his. The dude has been just a solid ball player.
Yeah. They signed this guy won't ever retire as Drupal Cabrera.
Come on, that's an all-time Indian, dude.
I got his autograph right here. A-Cab.
A-Cab.
Yeah, you told me that's I think today, and I was like, that guy just won't go away.
Nope. Hey, when you turn an unassisted triple play, dude, you get to play forever.
That's true. That was still one of the greatest plays I've ever seen in my life. Then they got Nick Ahmed, honestly another solid ball player who can play shortstop, second, third base, wherever they have moved him.
Nice
He's been
utility
successful.
player.
And then Carson Kelly, he's been pretty solid behind the plate. Catchers, I mean, unless you're one of the big boys, you're just the catcher.
Pretty much.
You know?
And Eduardo Escobar, he's another real solid player.
Yeah. And then we got their pitching staff, which is going to be interesting.
I think they got a pretty solid pitching staff. I know we were talking earlier. I think Bumgarner, obviously Zach Gallen's probably going to be their ace.
Yeah, I agree.
The dude's, he's good. I was looking at his numbers last year too, and it's nasty.
He reminds me of Robbie Ray. He's got the nasty shit like Robbie Ray. He just doesn't walk people as often. Robbie Ray just walked everybody and their mother. He'll strike out 12 guys, but he'll walk 13.
Yeah. Yep.
You know?
That was the one downside of Robbie Ray. Like, if he can get the walks under control, but I like that Zach Gallen. But like I was just gonna say though, with Bumgarner, I think he's gonna have a bounce back year. He's been a beast over the length of his career that I think last year being so bad was more of a fluke. I think he'll come back and bounce back. Maybe not the all-star numbers he was putting up because he is a little bit older and again with those injuries.
Yeah.
But I think he's due for a bounce back season, which would help their rotation for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. Especially, we're gonna hopefully get a full spring training and a full 162 and see what that does for a guy who's used to that routine. Putting in that work over that period of time, because last year was definitely tough, probably for a lot of players.
Especially when you're routine oriented like pitchers are, that shortened season and everything, there's no way that was like, that's why I think his season was I think it was over exaggerated how bad it was. It was bad. By every mean it was bad. But I think it was just over exaggerated kind of with that, and I think he's due for bounce back.
It's tough too when you have such a bad year and you're used to the gold standard. I mean, it's mad bum. I mean,
we've seen him hit 2 home runs in a game.
We did. We saw that on opening day. We were in Arizona.
That was insane.
And he off Zach Greinke.
Yeah,
they were both
that's
off
right.
Greinke. It was disgusting to see.
It was ridiculous. I just the first one, I was like, I don't think I've ever watched a pitcher hit a home run and just crank it like that. And then he did it again.
The
and
second one was further.
God, what?
Yeah. And then there was a great game. Arizona actually came back. Chris Owings actually hit a walk-off.
Yeah, that's right.
That was a great game to be at.
That was a great game.
Then they got their number 3 this year, Caleb Smith, solid young pitcher they got from Miami in the Sterling Marte trade last year. I think that was a really good trade-off. Because honestly, they have the outfielders with Calhoun. Honestly, Marte plays out there a little bit. Cattell, that is. Just realized they had the same last name.
Yep.
Peralta, obviously, out there. So they've got the flexibility. Marte wasn't going to make or break their season, but having that third pitcher is so important nowadays in the league. And it just gives them depth. I mean, they have Luke Weaver. He's another one. He kind of has his stretches, but it's just kind of an average pitcher, I would say, in the league.
Yeah. I don't really know that Merrill Kelly, though, that rounds it out too. I don't really know much about him.
Yeah. I think he had a above 4 ERA, I think, last year. Again, he's like a number 5 guy. As a guy you put out there, you hope to get 5-6 strong innings from. Arizona is one of those teams too that kind of like the Rays, which I think it bit the Rays in the ass in the World Series. They pull their starters early. They don't, like we're used to watching the Indians. Tito will let those starters go 8-9 innings if they're feeling it. He won't get involved.
No.
I honestly, I'm going to say this now. If Terry Francona was managing the Rays, they would have won the World Series this year. Because Snell would have pitched a complete game. That dude was fucking dealing.
He was. It was weird that happened like that.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. It was tough to watch, man. Tough to watch. It was just like, honestly, when the Nationals won their World Series over the Astros. And what's his name? Pulled Greinke. And what was it? Howie Kendrick hit a homer like the next bat. It was the next batter.
As much as I didn't like the Astros and want to see him win that one, I was enjoying watching that game because I've always been a Greinke fan.
Yeah.
And he was dealing.
Yes, he was.
He was dealing.
He was given up like 2 hits in 7 innings.
Yeah.
And
he was owning that lineup. And for him to come out and just take him out like that, I was like, I don't know. I don't think that was the right call at all. I mean, Greinke's a vet. You could tell he was feeling it. Like he was just dealing. Yeah. He was shutting that lineup down, and I think that was a mistake.
Yeah, that's where I think
obviously it was a mistake.
That's where I think analytics does hurt you sometimes because you think like, all right, let me get a fresh arm in here, change up, the eye level, the slot level from where the pitch is coming from on these guys.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just doesn't work that way, man. When a pitcher's in a groove, he can adjust on the fly, man. Especially a stud like Greinke and Snell. I mean, Snell is a stud. I don't care if he's only been in the league a couple of years. He's a fucking bona fide stud. I mean, he's won a Cy Young and come in second. And he's only been, 3 years he's been in the league?
Snell, yeah. Sorry, I just got a huge update from Bleacher Report that we can get to about the Padres after this.
Oh, all right. Well, that's where we're headed is San Diego. So go ahead. Break it down.
Well, Bleacher Report's reporting that Padres superstar Fernando Tatis Jr. inks a 14-year, $340 million extension.
Damn.
That's 14 years, $340 million.
Hey, he's not pictured right here for no reason. That dude's the face of baseball right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm just calling it how it is. That dude is the face of fucking baseball right now.
The guy's a monster.
He's an absolute animal. He's never played a full season yet. Think about that. We have not seen him play an entire 162, and you already know he's a bona fide stud.
Yep. Well, he I was looking up. He won the Silver Slugger last year too.
Yeah.
And they came fourth in MVP voting.
Yeah.
The dude's he's a monster. He's a monster. It's gonna be a dude that's gonna be fun to watch. That Padres team, honestly, looking over it again, it's like that team. It should be pretty good. Like,
oh yeah.
I know we talked about it. I think I would project the Dodgers to win the division just because they're coming. They're still so good, and they added Bauer, which we'll get into. But this Padres team is going to be some serious competition.
Oh, dude,
the Padres team is nasty.
If they were in any other division, I'm putting them at the top.
Yeah. Oh,
no
for
doubt.
sure.
No
for
doubt.
sure.
It's 14 years, man. You know what though? Honestly, in a guy's, well, I mean, it will be technically his third year, but I mean, he hasn't played a full season yet. He had like the half year for his. I don't know.
No,
they didn't consider that a rookie year, did they?
So he played. It was 84 games in 2019, then obviously only 59 because last year.
COVID.
But he did come in third place in Rookie of the Year 2019. So I think they do count
so they
that.
do count that as a rookie. I don't know what their stipulations are for. Sometimes you can win. What was it? Aaron Judge won Rookie of the Year, even though he wasn't a fucking rookie.
Yeah, I don't know. It is a little stupid because I think was that the year. No, I was thinking the one year Naquin should have won it in 16, but I forget who won it in front of him. Was it Fulmer?
Yeah, the pitcher for Detroit, who absolutely fell off the face of the earth after that year.
Yeah. That dude was a monster. Yeah. But I mean, he's only played 84 and 59. He's only played 143 games, so pretty close to a full season, really. 19 games under.
But we haven't seen a full season of this kid yet, dude.
I mean, he's just getting started. The dude, he's only 22 years old.
Yeah, and this is what I was gonna say. You know, you see the Miguel Cabrera and the Albert Pujols 10-year deals when they already did it and they're old. Yeah. At least this kid's getting 14 years and he's just getting started. You're getting 14 years out of this kid. At least, I'll say you're getting at least 8 years of him being a stud. Unless he gets hurt, I'm going to say he's going to have 8 stud years ahead of him. So I'll take those averages.
Yep. That's a hell of a deal, too. Paid $340 million.
They signed Machado for $300 million, didn't they? So they have two $300 million players?
I don't remember Machado's deal.
It was over $300 million because it was the same year as Harper, and we were joking. It's like the year of the $300 million deals.
I do kind of remember it was 10-year, $300 million with the Padres,
and he's been there 2 years now, so he's got about 8 years. Yeah, 8 years. There's their stretch. And Machado honestly bounced back last year. Machado was Machado last year.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at his numbers. I was like, okay, yeah, he's back to being Machado.
Yeah.
It just makes his team even just nastier. And then, I mean, you got Eric Hosmer at first. He's always been solid. You know what you're getting. Dude, he was a past Gold Glover, so his defense is still there. It's probably not Gold Glove caliber. I mean, he's probably still got it in him, but
he's a vacuum. He's a vacuum.
You know what you're getting. And then they just signed that Ha-Swing Kim.
Yeah, the Korean player.
Yeah, and I was looking at his numbers.
Dude, he hit like 30-some bombs in Korea.
Yep, 30 home runs, 109 ribbies, 23 stolen bases. Out of 622 plate appearances, he only struck out 68 times. Whew. That's not bad at all.
That's what I like to see. I don't care about the homers. I mean, I love to see the low strikeout rate.
He had more walks than strikeouts as well.
Beautiful.
75 over 68. Yeah, this dude looks like he's going to be.
That right there tells you it's going to translate.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the eye.
Because that eye will come over and it's his numbers.
Man, this team is stacked, dude.
That's what, like, when I was going over the numbers, I'm like, this team seriously, like, it's going to give the Dodgers a run for their money.
Yeah, you get this thing I printed off here of the projected lineup. They have Trent Graham leading off, one of those solid outfielders. Then they got Tatis, Machado, Hosmer, Tommy Pham, who honestly I forgot about last year because he got COVID, and didn't he get stabbed or something? I want to say he got stabbed or some shit.
I don't know. I don't remember for sure.
I'm almost positive it was Tommy Pham that got stabbed. He had a rough year.
I mean, COVID and then a stabbing. That's pretty.
He hasn't been what he was when he was with the Rays, but he's still a solid ball player.
He's. I almost like equate him to like almost a David Peralta type outfielder.
Yeah.
Like really just solid. He's not too exciting, and he's really not like he's not bad or awful. Yeah. Like he's just a solid outfielder. You know what you're gonna get with him.
Yeah, and then you got
younger Peralta obviously too.
Yeah.
But
then they got Will Myers, who last year had the career year that we thought Will Myers would have when he was with the Royals. I mean, which feels like fucking forever ago. Will Myers.
Or you mean with the Rays?
Or with the Rays. It feels like forever ago.
Yeah. I know. When he was with the Rays, it was like they were always talking about him waiting for him to break out. Yeah. And it was like it never quite did.
Honestly, the Rays capitalized on that trade. And, I mean, if Will Myers has a year like he did last year with this lineup's going to even be more scarier.
This lineup could almost help him be better too.
Yeah.
Because the batters that are going to be in the lineup,
you know what he reminds me of, and I might take some flack for this. He reminds me of Nick Swisher, not with the personality or anything, but the fact that his bat is like but when you put him in a line like Nick Swisher, we saw him when he's the lead guy, he is going to disappoint you. He's gonna.
Oh yeah.
But when you're in a lineup and you got Giambi on one side and Alex Rodriguez on the other side of you, and you can just swing away.
Yep,
you're protected.
Pretty much.
I think we saw that with Jose Ramirez, his down year. He wasn't as protected in the Indians lineup, and he had a down year. And I think he had to readjust and realize, like, all right, I got to put some work in. And he bounced back fucking hell up. Thank God.
For sure. I know, we'll get into the tribe and all that. Yeah. That'll probably be our one right before the season starts, just so we can really dig in on that one. Save our hometown team for last.
Yeah. Then they got Austin Nola behind the plate, solid catcher. Again, catchers are kind of catchers at this point.
If you're not Roberto Perez, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean,
one of the best defensive catchers. I mean, and the dude can call a game. He might not have a great bat, but who is it that we seen him take yard? Wasn't it Kershaw? He took yard.
Yeah, it was Kershaw. Yep.
Yeah. So if you're not Roberto Perez, get out of my house. I don't care.
Yeah, we have been blessed. Go from Yan Gomes to Roberto Perez. Defensively, has to be
the best I've seen.
Those two are good. Also helps to have Sandy Alomar Jr. as your coach.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's get into the rotation.
Their rotation is
it's fucking disgusting. And
it is.
This projected doesn't even have Mike Clevenger, who obviously we know. Clev had Tommy John surgery, so they're not going to have him until next year. Which, I mean, honestly, you got Darvish, Snell, Clevenger in 2022. That is going to be unmatched. I mean, I don't think there's another lineup of pitchers that's gonna be able to match that. Maybe the team we get to next can squeak it, but I'm gonna get into that in a little bit here. They got Lamet. He's got some nasty shit.
He does.
He's just got to be a little more consistent.
Dude throws 100, so he's throwing gas, and then his slider's a 90-mile-per-hour slider. And then I was watching some videos the other day, and his changeup, it comes in looking like a slider, and then it just drops.
Yeah,
it just falls right. It's like the guy's got some nasty pitches. Last year's pretty much his breakout year in a shortened season. Yeah. So it will be interesting to see how that's going to go into a full season this coming year, because he is still young, and teams, I don't want to say really have a book on him because they were in a shortened season just like he was, but being so young, it'll be interesting this year. But the dude's definitely got potential to be a monster. He's got some nasty stuff.
Oh, for sure. Obviously, we'll just back up. Their ace is, if he pitches like he did last year, it's going to be Yu Darvish, and Yu Darvish is back.
I would think so. Honestly, I was like wondering between Darvish and Snell, but I think you would almost give it to Darvish just because he's more the veteran, and his numbers were
insane. I mean, he was back to striking out 11 guys a game.
Yeah,
I mean, it was beautiful.
His K per 9 was 11.
Yeah,
it's like, and his walks per 9 1.7. Yeah. It's like,
he dialed it in and got it back last year, and they also super minor move, but potentially huge for the Padres. They went ahead and they traded and got from the Cubs and got his personal catcher.
Yep,
which is huge.
With that Victor Caratini.
Yes, I mean that relationship's just going to continue, and you hope that builds off of last year.
Yeah.
Obviously they traded for Blake Snell, which
Snell's a monster.
Stud.
I mean, yeah.
Stud. I know personally my girlfriend's in love with him, but she actually got mad that I had a conversation with him over a guy streaming. But anyways, moving on. They also traded for Joe Musgrove. I think is a brilliant move to get a very solid pitcher. I would say Musgrove on most teams would be a solid number 3 of borderline bottom number 2. He's just a solid ass pitcher. I think a number 3 spot fits him well, but I mean he's a number 4 this year, and next year he'll be sliding down maybe to out of the rotation.
You think he'd be? I was thinking he'd be their 5 behind that Chris Paddock.
Paddock's interesting.
I know he had a down year, but he was dominant the year before. Just because Musgrove was the newer guy, I was thinking maybe he'd be their 5. But
it could be. I got to see it from Paddock again, because I was looking at his stats, and he did have a dominant year 2 years ago. But at the back half of that year, you saw the regression happening, and then we saw it all last year. He had some games. Where he was like, all right, so he's still there. But he definitely had a regressed season. So I got to see it from him again. I mean, as a number 4 or number 5, at that point, it really doesn't matter.
Honestly.
honestly, I don't think number threes matter. I think you need a two-headed horse, and then a solid average pitcher at 3. Just
Well, they'll have, yeah, when Clevenger gets back, they'll have a 3-headed one, dude.
Yeah.
And if that Lamet does pan out and post another good season, that's
if
a
Lamet
1-4 that's going to be like.
It's going to be something that we've seen in Cleveland when we had, Kluber, Carrasco, Trevor Bauer, Mike Clevenger. And we also had Shane Bieber, who just won the Cy Young, was our number 5 then. And now he's an ace. So we know something about pitching. But yeah, I just got to see it from Paddock again. But
yeah, I feel it.
Now we got to break down the champions, dude. There's nothing really to break down here. They're fucking great, top to bottom. There's not a player in their lineup that I wouldn't take on the Indians right now.
Right.
Besides maybe Will Smith, I'll keep Roberto Perez over Will Smith. Which they do have Austin Barnes too as a catcher. Austin Barnes he'll play. Austin Barnes is a good ball player. He catches. He'll play second. He does whatever the hell they need. But obviously starting off, one of the goated players of the league right now, Mookie Beth. Just there's nothing to say other than he's a fucking stud.
You're in, you're out. You know what you're getting. The guy's a monster.
Corey Seager. Now Corey Seager's interesting, dude. That was a guy that I wanted the Indians to trade Lindor to LA and get him before he had the comeback year he had last year. He is one of the main reasons that line, that not that they couldn't have made it to the World Series without him, but he was killing it in the playoffs, destroying. He was right back to his old self. I say that, but he's still young as fuck.
He is.
He only had like a year and a half that was like hurt, and he was injured for the 1 year.
Yeah, didn't he? Wasn't it he had to get Tommy John?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Because it's like you don't ever see position players really get that, and it's like that's got to be rough too. When you're not a pitcher and you get that, you're like, really, like, come on.
And you got to think. I mean, your elbow. Obviously, every time you make contact with the ball hitting, you're gonna feel that in your elbow. So it probably was weird for a while, but he was. Honestly, I think he was the MVP of their team in the playoffs.
I had forgotten about him somewhat too, and when I was looking at his numbers from last year, was like, yeah, this dude definitely he got back to what they were projecting him to be when he first came out in the league.
Yep. They got Mack Muncie at first. He's just a solid hitter. I'm not too sure about his glove. He's a bigger guy. Not that matters, but his bat fits in perfect with this lineup. Not that many bats don't. Justin Turner, they just re-signed again this year. I think it was a 2-year deal, $30 million, I want to say. I know there were reports of them looking to trade him, but, I mean, personally, I don't think they need to trade him. He's a solid third baseman, as much as I don't really care for him.
Same, but he's always been solid with them. He's been good.
He's one of the few guys in the league that can hit for an above 300 average every year. So it really fits the lineup perfect. There's your stud average hitter. Not that Mookie Betts isn't, but
Dude, I mean, you get to the other all-star in their outfield, Cody Bellinger.
Yeah, Cody Bellinger. And honestly, the guy, if he continues to get better, he's going to find himself not in the Mike Trout conversation, but he's going to find himself in, like, this is the next phenom.
Yeah.
Like, the dude mashes the fucking ball, dude. He's just a skinny-ass, like, 6-foot kid.
You wouldn't expect it out of him at all. When he was in that home run derby, it was so weird because he really isn't the body type at all that you would think. But
he's got the awkward swing, the awkward follow through. It looks beautiful, but looks different, and he just crushes the shit out of the ball.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he's an absolute. Also, very underrated defender. I'll say that. I mean, I know he played first a little bit, but he is. I mean, he's played center field for them, right field, left field. I mean, he is a good defender. A guy I know very well from when he was in Arizona, AJ Pollock. He kind of started bouncing back last year. If he can get back to, I mean, when he got hurt in Arizona, people were thinking he was going to make a run at an MVP type season because the year before that he really came on, and then he did he break his elbow? I think it was his arm. I just don't know what spot it was, but he was sliding into home and broke his arm.
Maybe it was something like that. I just know that dude. He always had solid seasons, but they were always cut short by injuries.
Yeah,
he's always a good ball player and could hit. If he had ever pieced together full seasons, he could hit like decently above average too.
Yeah,
a good solid hitter.
He was a for sure 280 hitter and up, and he was a 30-30 guy that year. I mean, he had 30 homers, 30 stolen bases. Speed and power, it was a rare thing. I mean, I think him and Charlie Blackman were the only outfielders to do it that year.
That was a guy that before they signed him, I really wanted the Tribe to make a run at because we needed the outfield help.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, as much money as the Dodgers throw at people, he was cheap. They weren't breaking the bank for him. And then they got their ultimate utility player, who's turned second baseman, Chris Taylor. It's amazing a guy can go from being a utility player for a couple of years for a team to being a very vital part of their offense.
You know who he reminds me of, kind of like that. Obviously, not as good with the bat, but like Whit Merrifield, like a poor man's version almost of Whit Merrifield. You know, just solid. You could put him everywhere, and then all of a sudden he started kind of making a name for himself as like a consistent starter. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Whit's bat is just that dude can hit the ball.
Yeah.
But that's how I always kind of picture Chris Taylor as like kind of a poor man's Whit Merrifield.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. And then, their rotation, it's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know who, we were talking about this earlier, I don't know who they're going to claim as their ace, opening day starter. I project that it'll be Bauer. That was their big season move. I just see that, if he pitches well, you're going to sell jersey shirts and jerseys and all sorts of shit.
All about the marketing.
Yeah, you want to market your players, which the MLB does an absolutely horrid job of doing. But awful Trevor Bauer markets himself very well, and that's why he's a known player.
So you got a hell of a heyday, too.
I love Trevor Bauer. I'm going to say this right now. I love him. I miss him. I wish he was still on the Indians. Dude's an average pitcher.
Yeah.
Dude is consistently inconsistent. But I love him. I love his attitude. I love his work ethic. He had a great year last year. He only made 12 starts, and I was looking at it. Honestly, half those starts were against, I think it was 7 of those starts were against bottom of the barrel lineups. So I think that's something to look at. I honestly think you're going to see honest natural regression with Bauer. We saw him have probably his career season was with the Indians.
2018.
Yeah.
That year he was a monster that year. Everything was clicking for him.
Yeah. And I don't know if he'll ever hit that again. I'm glad he won his Cy Young. I was rooting for it. But I just think you're going to see some natural regression with him. Plus, something that's probably not being talked about because let's celebrate. We got Trevor Bauer. He is in a very tough division to pitch in. I know we went over the bottom of the barrel lineups, but Arizona, not easy to pitch at.
Nope.
Obviously, Coors Field, not easy to pitch at. Fly balls in LA are homers at Coors. San Francisco, they got the short corners. It's kind of a hitter's park. They got triple alley, just like
you got players gapping it on you. It's going to be a tough day.
Yeah. So I think that also, on top of everything, they're going to see some natural regression. I still think he's a top 20 pitcher in the league.
Yeah.
So when I say average, that's probably a little harsh. I still think he's a above average pitcher, but I don't think you're going to see that 2018 year or last year's numbers just continue throughout the year. Unless he keeps using, I'm not going to say keeps using, starts using what he said the Astros pitchers were using.
No, and when you look to, when you talk about like players FIP and all that, he will regress back to it because his FIP's always around 4, just over 4, and he's only had a couple seasons with it below 4.
Yeah.
And one year was the 2018, and then last year. Other than that, and that's I know a good indicator too of how you could see where they'd be regressing. And again, I think it does show a tendency where he will go back to kind of his natural, what he really is naturally.
His advanced stats definitely show that he's going to be the same pitcher. Like I said, he is consistent. The only thing consistent about him is that he's inconsistent. He's going to have like 4 or 5 games where you're like, oh my God, this guy's worth every dime. And then he's going to give you 3 games where it's like, what the hell is this guy doing?
He will be frustrating to watch. I always loved him too. He was one of my favorite Indians because it was a dude too that he speak his mind and he would talk to fans.
Yes.
And you don't get a lot of that with other players. And even if the fact that he would do that and interact with fans directly on Twitter and social media and stuff like that, and just speaking his mind and being honest with you.
Yeah.
You may not like what he said, but he's being honest and talking to fans. Like, it's one thing that definitely I enjoyed a lot about him. Is one reason I always love him as an Indian and wish he did come back.
Yeah.
But
he changed. I've said this before. We've talked about it. He has changed the game when it comes to free agency. Him and his agent Rachel being so outspoken to fans. I mean, they were interacting with Mets fans. They were interacting with Dodgers fans. The suspense of where he was going to go, and then he puts out that video where he's wearing both jerseys. You know, it was...
Yeah.
I don't think other players have the balls to do that, but it shows how fun baseball can be. You know, because honestly, baseball does an absolutely horrible job of marketing their players. Like I've said this before. I think that if you showed someone a picture of Trevor Bauer right now and a picture of Mike Trout, they're going to know who Trevor Bauer is because they've seen him in the news, they've seen him on social media. But Mike Trout's the best player in baseball, and they're going to be like, yeah, I don't know who that is. It's a young guy who looks jacked. Literally, they know he's a Hall of Famer who's still playing. Speaking of another Hall of Famer who's still playing, Clayton Kershaw.
Who came back down to almost being Clayton Kershaw again.
He did bounce back.
Seemed like he might be getting through those back injuries and everything and getting back to I should say I don't think he's gonna be as dominant as he once was because now he's 30, 31. So but just getting back, I mean, still if you're at that age and you're pitching a sub-3 ERA, that's still damn good.
And I told you, I asked you, who do you think pitched the most innings for the Dodgers last year, including Bauer? If you include Bauer, and it's still Kershaw. Kershaw still pitched more innings than Bauer last year, which I think that's the biggest thing. If Kershaw can stay healthy, you know what you're going to get. I don't think he's going to just drop off. I really don't see that with him. His stuff is too disgusting.
No. And he's definitely showed he could play in the postseason now, too. I think that's been with the rest for a while now.
This rotation's disgusting. They got 2 stud young kids coming up. Walker Buehler has shown flashes of just being absolutely dominant.
Yeah.
He has had his rough starts, to be fair. But he has shown an ability to strike people out with the greatest of ease. And then Julio Yurius, I'm not sure how it's technically pronounced. He had honestly, statistically, probably had one of the best years out of any of the Dodgers pitchers. I think he had a sub. I'm not sure what his ERA. I think it was like a 1.7 or something like that.
So I was going off of Baseball Reference. I know they're pretty solid when I'm pulling the stats. Bauer had the 1.73. Julio Urias had a 3.27.
Okay.
Which is still amazing. That's still good.
Yeah, maybe I did get them mixed up. But he still had a fucking great year. Because I know he was in some Cy Young talks early on because he was just dominating.
He did come out the gates dominant.
Yeah, he was dominating. They got David Price, who, like we said, we forgot about that he came over in that trade.
He was out there.
Because he was out all year.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, I don't think he was hurt, if I remember correctly. I think he just took the COVID option.
Yeah, he sat out for COVID.
Which, who knows, that might help his arm. I mean, he did help Boston win that championship. As your number 5, I mean, at that point, what does it matter? That gives time for guys like Dustin May and the other young kid. I think his name's Gonzalez.
Tony Gonsolin. I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it, but
I know he pitched a little bit last year and was solid. Showed some strength. And Dustin May's another one, dude. He could throw 100 miles an hour and then just drop in a nasty ass slider and curveball on you. And if he's developed correctly, which it seems like the Dodgers do, with how much money they spend, they do develop players very well.
They do. That they do.
But Dustin May, I mean, David Price, I think that's what basically his role will be our number 5 guy. You've got the run support. Try to keep it down. We'll keep your innings short. And Dustin May can either be that nice long reliever to develop a little bit into the league. And honestly, they got a great shot to repeat, dude. I think they're winning the division again.
That's what I was saying. Like, I would give them favorites to win the division, but like you said too, if that Padres team was in any other division, I might give them the win. But that Padres team will give them a tough run. But yeah, I still think the Dodgers would take the division.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see the Padres win it. I wouldn't be. But I mean,
No.
I think it's been like 8 straight years that the Dodgers have won the West. So until somebody does it, I'm pretty sure the last team to do it was the Giants.
Yeah, but and it wouldn't be 8 because they did win it in 2015 against the Royals. Or no, it would have been 14 against the Royals.
Yeah, but they were a wild card team that year, weren't they?
Oh, maybe they were.
Because so were the Royals. I'm pretty sure it's been like 8 years since the Dodgers lost.
Maybe that's a lot. I mean, yeah,
it's a long. It's insane to think about.
And I am going off the World Series, which does not tell you at all.
Yeah,
if they were a wild card team or not.
Yeah, because obviously, dude, that just to touch on it, that Royals team, we both said it that year that they went to the wild card. We were like, this team is going to be nasty. We said that before that year, and they went to. And then me and you both said it. We were like, dude, the way they played, they're going back.
Yeah, they wanted it from start to finish.
Oh, they did not take a break off. I honestly hope, and we're touching into football here with what I'm about to say. I honestly hope, since we're from Cleveland, that's kind of the attitude that the Cleveland Browns take. They could taste it. They missed out. But I mean, just the players we have and the players that Royal, like, honestly, we're Indians fans, so the Royals are technically a rival. But like me and you, we were in love with fucking Eric Hosmer.
Yeah, I was a fan of the team.
Moustakas, dude. I mean, they had players that you were like, these guys. They developed these guys. These guys are fucking awesome. Kane. Oh god, dude.
And for as much of an asshole Yordano Ventura was at the time.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, he was a pitcher who was fun to watch.
Yeah, he was.
But that year, he was definitely a guy that went out there and brought that fire with him every time, and you got the team fired up. He was starting all kinds of fights that year. Like, that year was so exciting for baseball.
Yeah.
Just from that perspective, just seeing a different highlight of him just talking smack to guys and just
better not talk shit or I'm putting 100 miles an hour at your head.
Yeah.
Ask Manny Machado. Fuck around and find out.
It was a fun year for baseball, though. I really enjoyed. Again, like you said, Royals are our rival, but I enjoyed the way they played baseball that year. It was, you could just tell, you could see the determination.
Absolutely. Yeah, that wraps up the NL West. You got an idea what division you want to do next? Just stick and do the whole NL?
I'm thinking, we'll finish up the NL, we'll go to the Central, and then we'll go to the East, and then, AL West Central, or we would really have to go AL West, then East, and then Central if we want to finish it up with our home team. So.
Okay. All right, so we'll do the East next. We'll break down that. Obviously, you probably just see the Dodgers and the Padres making the playoffs out of this division, right?
Pretty much. I don't really see the Rockies, Giants, or Diamondbacks snagging a wild card spot at all.
Yeah. I don't either.
I really don't. I think one of the wild card spots is going to be the Padres or Dodgers, depending on who doesn't win the division, honestly.
Yeah. I think the halfway point, you might see Arizona's name up there, but they're going to fall off.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening.
Those three, like we said, they don't really have pieces to really, like, I don't think make a full season run, put a full season together. Not like the way the Dodgers and the Padres are built.
Yeah.
They've got so much firepower in their rotation and throughout their starting lineup that, the other three teams, I don't see them snagging a wild card spot or anything like that.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with you. So, that does it for this. We'll break down next Wednesday. We'll see you guys in a week for another baseball episode. We'll break down the NL East, which there's plenty to talk about there. This honestly has been the best baseball offseason in years in terms of transactions and movement. A lot of big name players moving. So there's a lot to break down.
The trend the last couple seasons was ball clubs were really letting big names wait for a while.
Yeah.
Because I think there was a point to it because I know we've talked about it before. Some of the contracts they were giving out to some of the players, they were good players, but I think some of the clubs noticed like, okay, we're not quite getting the return we expect on this kind of money we're spending. And yeah, the last couple of seasons, you've seen a lot of clubs wait and just wait and just wait. Yeah. And some big names didn't get signed until spring training, late in spring training. So yeah, this offseason has been totally different in that where you're just seeing, big names being moved, teams making moves.
Yeah, no. This year has been fun. Those years sucked. I remember, I know one of those years, Mike Moustakas, JD Martinez, and it was like waiting and waiting and waiting. And honestly, I don't know if it was the same year as Machado and Harper, because I know they signed around the same time, and then it seemed like everything else kind of fell in line after that. But yeah, this year teams aren't even fucking around. They're just trading for guys straight up. They're going. The Padres honestly have done the most work this year, and they're fucking going for it. And I fucking love every bit of it. I'm here for it. They're doing a way better job than the last time they tried to go for it, and they blew it up halfway through that season. Remember that when they got Justin Upton and all those guys, and they blew it up mid-season because it was just not a good fit. This, I think they got that young core. They're adding veterans. They're keeping the pitching staff together. That's the biggest thing, man. Pitching.
And established veterans.
Yes.
Like, Upton, I've never been a big fan, but I didn't ever think he was really that great of a player where he's going to make a difference. But, like, these veterans they're bringing in, like, this team is just a nasty team.
Yeah.
It's really
nasty. Definitely going to compete with the Dodgers. I think this division is going down to the wire. I'm just giving the edge to the Dodgers. So the champs, till you uncrown them, you're still the champs. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment section. If you think we're wrong, put it in the comment section. Tell us why you think we're wrong. We'll have the links to the YouTube page. Subscribe to YouTube. Join the Discord if you want to talk. We can talk baseball every day. I mean, me and Nicholas do. We talk baseball every day. We'll talk football off season because that's getting underway too. But yeah, we'll post tons of posts and articles. We got a beat reporter now posting his stuff in there. So tons of sports content in the Discord. It's starting to take off, and shout out to you guys. We hit 250 followers on Facebook, which is fucking further than it was the last time we tried to do this. We were kind of stuck at 230, and we had that page like a year.
Yeah, something like that. It was this time around. It's just better improved.
Yeah,
all around improved.
We learned a lot in that year. I mean, we really did. We're still learning. We're still getting better. We're still trying. Let us know what we can do better.
Recommendations for sure. Yeah, always take that into account.
100%. If there's a certain player or team that you really want us to break down, let us know. We'll do it. I don't mind looking into baseball one bit. I mean, we'll get into advanced stats. We love advanced stats. We will see you in a week. I know we have WandaVision coming out this Friday. So me and Adam and hopefully Mason will be back for that. We'll have that video out Friday for you guys. If anything crazy breaks, we'll go live and we'll get that information out to you guys. But until then, have a great night, and we will see you guys next time.
Take it easy.